produces too many bugs. When we look into the statistics, actually, how many bugs are reported from customers, we do not find any significant increase in that. But what we see is that when you produce a lot of new functions, not on new features, there will be more bugs. So there was a lot of bugs in 2017 and into 2018. More bugs than we had in 2016. And you get this perception of product quality. Of course you do. And as you know, what do you say? Perception is everything. That's what you felt, and that's what counts. That's reality. So we just have to relate to that. Too many version 1 features in SuperOffice. Do we give too much priority to new features? The number of features. We're so proud when we list all the things we've done, all the production. But is it good enough? Should it maybe a little less features and functions? We spend more time on the things we have? Maybe. Too little time for beta programs. We didn't really have the time. We want a couple of releases to complete a feature. And if you move too fast on to the next new feature, you're not able to go back to the old one. I think we saw that in the last 12 months. There was too little time for that. So, that's what we learned. And we started thinking, how can we build this into a new plan? We have to learn from this. And I hope you can see this in the plan that we put together for the future. Let's start to see what we're going to do moving forwards. Yeah, that was comprehensive, wasn't it? Well, we set 4 main goals. Build something big, you better start fast. And now we're starting. We have already started on this. But we have to be able to deliver this stepwise to the customers. And it's not a new version of SuperOffice that creates problems for the customers. They will still be able to continue and receive updates like before. So you have to find a way to move stepwise forward, introducing the new technology and the new features. We call this the Project R. And you can wonder, we have a competition, you can try to find out what the R is about. It's a secret so far. It's revitalized. Or Rex. Okay, the 4th one is sustainable customization. It's so important for us that we, SuperOffice and the partners, make customizations, add-ons, to the customers that is future-proof. So to simplify the terms sustainability, I think it's more like making efficient, cost-efficient customizations that is made to live on into the future. That's what it's all about. Okay, so these are the 4 main goals that we've set for SuperOffice the coming years. But before I leave that stage to Marek, I will use 5 minutes more to say something about 6 topics, which I think is important that you know about. And feel free to comment on them, either by doing in the app, asking more questions afterwards, because now I'll do it quite fast. I don't have the time to go into all of them, but you will know what I mean about all these topics. First one, the Windows app. How long is it going to live? You know that cloud is our main strategy. All our decisions now are made towards the cloud. You've seen the project R, where we're merging 2 clients. And it's obvious that the Windows client will miss functionality, will not be complete when it comes to features and functions. And at some point, the compatibility will break, especially because of this merge of the 2 clients. It will be impossible to have these clients working together for a very, very long time into the future. I don't know when that will happen, but I think you see having these 4 or these targets, you will see that it's going to break. And you know what to do about this. Those of you who have a stake in that. All of you have a stake in that. And you see the migration from the Windows client to the web client or to the cloud. It's very rapid these days. Marek made an analytics the other day, and if it continues in the same pace as it had the last 2 or 3 years, Windows client will be gone in 3 years. But there are still large, important customers running the Windows client, so it's not that easy. But we have to work together. And from our IDC where it's going. 50% of our customers these days are online, and it's rapidly increasing. And I would say, everything is good about the cloud. Nothing is good about on-site. Except legacy. And the money coming from it. That is my perspective on this. Water is coming out of the tap. Electricity coming out of the socket. And the internet and your applications are coming out of this socket. You don't have your own service in 10 years. Except some of you for certain reasons, I know that. But I mean this when I say it actually. On-site, in 10 years, I don't think SuperOffice is doing on-site business anymore, or any of you either. It's too small, insignificant. Now it got very quiet. Okay, challenge me. SuperOffice will not push anyone in that direction. We think the cloud will pull our customers and the solutions. Like with the Windows clients, same thing. We'll see. My prediction, you know the Gartner prediction, they always say it like this, to make sure they don't do mistakes. It's a 95% probability that on-site is minimized in 2025. And this is a Nielsen prediction. Just to have some fun, actually. You see the point. We think that customer-facing applications will be very important in the future. SuperOffice traditionally is a client, is software that you present to the company employees to make them more productive. This set of applications are meant for your customers, not for the employees. It's self-service, and it's more and more they talk about building customer journeys. This is not a new term, but now it's being made possible with all the different software vendors offering components in the self-service space where you can build this interface towards your customers and build a journey, a good customer experience, ever from the lead situation to the existing customer. And this is where we see SuperOffice taking a position in the coming years. Forms, chat, subscription, management, these are customer-facing, and the customer center, of course. These are customer-facing applications, and we will more and more of those. It's automation, it's user-friendly, it's what the customers want, it's cost-efficient. Everything is good about customer-facing applications, actually. It's hard to survive as a professional CRM vendor without having this concept. We had audience in 2005. We were awarded for audience in 2005, but it was far too early, I think. So it kind of died. Predictions, I say 48% of our customers will use SuperOffice CFA Center within 2025. I'm quite sure. Mobile, we will do more. We will simplify the UI, we will add more features because it's so important to us. And too few of our customers, users are using it. It's kind of embarrassing and it's dangerous that not more of our users are using the mobile client. So this is important to us. Gisle have already mentioned eMarketeer in our cooperation, but working in this space, leads, prospecting, marketing and sales, is very important for SuperOffice, and you also saw the growth potential in that area. If you look at what they're doing in the United States, I mean, it's MarTech area. There's so many applications, so much technology. It's really, really confusing. So we think we have to work a little bit more to find what's suitable in the European market for our customer segment. And it's not the most advanced marketing users we're talking about. And it's not the smallest company we're talking about. We're talking about the traditional, medium-sized, serious businesses in Europe. And we had to find something simple that works for that market. We will do in-house development, improving SuperOffice, and we will do tight integrations, and we will do strategic partnerships. We're not able to do everything by our own. This area is too big, too vast. So I say, again, Nielsen prediction, complexity fails, simplicity wins. I'm totally confident. We have to find something that is simple enough to our market, in our market, for our customers. We're good at that. It takes some time. We are good at that. And last, number 6, Zapier. It is a very interesting concept, as Gisela also mentioned. It connects SuperOffice to any other application in that space. I think it's more than 1,000 different applications. It's very easy, it's lightweight, action triggers, it's simple. You can't do everything with it, but you can do a lot. And you might accomplish a lot with a little cost. And it's going to be very interesting to see how this is received among our customers and among our partners and consultants. So, again, I predict that it will be a frequently used tool for our consultants, whether you're a business or technical consultants, and we'll see. And Marek will use Zapier, I think. And we made kind of sustainable, this is an introduction to the concept of sustainable customizations. And I think a manifesto could look like this. The more use of standard software, the better. The more use of cloud services, the better. The more use of standard robust APIs, the better. The more easy the tool you're using, the better. The more of your code that can run in others' clouds, the better. Less code you must write, the better. I think Marek's presentation will address all of this. So, Marek, please.
Imagine you live like this. You have this fancy car that you love, and it's securely parked, and it's in your basement, below street level. And if it's anything like the street where I live, which is about 2 kilometers uphill from here, the city drains are a little bit above that level. So you have this drain pump, which makes the rainwater go uphill. And then it starts raining. And the water comes pouring down. And you sure hope that pump is working. And pouring rain is not something that just happens in Houston. This is early June. This is the house with a car in the basement. So, you need the drain guard. Absolutely need them. It's your dedicated drain guardian that never sleeps. It's sitting down there, watching the pump, watching the water level. Now you might say this is not a new technology. The Romans were doing that with aqueducts 2,000 years ago. However, the drain guard is an IoT device. which means, among other things, if there's a failure, it will send an alert, and there is help coming. However, that is also not so very new. But since it's an IoT device, we can do far more with it. We can make qualitative improvements. We can upgrade it. We can listen to its heartbeat, so we know it's actually there, that we are keeping our promise to the customer. You know, never sleeps. How do we know that? With a traditional device, we don't. But we can do far more than that. Let's say we correlate the weather forecast, the actual observed weather, the observed water volume, push it through some machine learning magic, and that gives us a locally adapted predictive model for your home, which means if there is a weather forecast that has a significant probability of causing flooding based on experience, we can warn you, to move stuff out of the basement. Put the children's sandbox into bags and otherwise prepare. We can do things like automatic service scheduling. If you have shared your calendar, we can make sure we schedule service at some time when you're home to receive us. Or the opposite, if you don't want to meet us. Obviously, DrainGuard Inc., being a forward-looking company, is using SuperOffice. And so when the technician comes along and he needs to register a newly installed device, he uses the Pocket application and he's set to go. This is Pocket. You'll have to take my word for it. We also need the DrainGuard prototype. This is the DrainGuard prototype. So, it's on the net. Let's see what it looks like. Sorry, it should be here. We can see it. Now, in SuperOffice, you can see that you can't actually. Let's drag it down a bit. There's a DrainGuard device ID. And that's the device ID of this thing. And of course, it's a long alphabet soup, so there's a QR code printed on it. And so I go into SuperOffice, I do Edit Contact, I bring up a keyboard app that has a QR code reader, and I do a save. And after a while, I should get a confirmation on the device that it has been registered. So this tells the technician that it really is this device, and it's now registered on the customer, which we can fairly easily see. You've got this long ID thing. So think about what just happened here. Pocket to SuperOffice to a thing that's on the internet. Now it starts raining. And you can see the water level is rising, and you can see the DrainGuard is tracking it. And it's probably getting worried by now. Used to be green. It's turning yellow. And we're into the red. Almost into the red. Oh, it's raining and raining and raining. So, alarm. Now what? So it's blinking red. And now things are happening in the background. There are 3 public clouds that are actually involved in this. So it's sending a message all the way to SuperOffice, creating a service ticket. And at some point, the ticket is created, and we'll get some feedback. And I guess already, if I go here, I have a high water alert. And it's saying only 8 centimeters left until overflow. And as you can see, the blinking lights changed. And that is actually a confirmation that a service request has been created in SuperOffice for this particular device. So the house owner can see that not only has the device detected the problem and called for help, but help is actually coming. So let's look a little bit at what actually happened here. So this device, the Brain Guard, comes from a company called Particle, and it comes with a cloud. So this device communicates with its own cloud whenever something happens, when I've programmed it to do so. The Particle cloud has this concept of integration, where you can do, among other things, a REST call to somewhere. That somewhere is Zapier. Zapier has an excellent way of catching webhook calls. And then I do 2 more steps. I do a find contact based on the device ID. Look into SuperOffice, pull out that user-defined field, match it, find out which person it is, and you will note that this was a person without a company. This is the new SuperOffice. You can do that. And it will create a ticket on that person. And the creation of the ticket is probably going to trigger some CRM script, which contains whatever custom logic you need. Might send an SMS, you'll have escalation rules, all of that stuff happens within SuperOffice. Then we use our Zapier interface and the new webhooks technology, and we have a trigger that whenever a ticket is created of the kind that's connected to a device, that triggers a call going the other way, from SuperOffice to Zapier, from Zapier to Particle, from Particle to the device. And it's actually the same thing that happened when I registered it. That was a trigger on change of person, which sent a registration event to the device. That was what gave us the first green blink. Now we have had a confirmation call, which gives this pattern. Now I'll take it away because otherwise you'll just be watching the blinking lights. We can look at the logs. In Zapier, the log looks like this. And it tells me I've had a registration event, high water alert, and a confirmation event. In the Particle Cloud, the log is more device-oriented. It looks like this. And it's still quite interesting because the high water, this data, can be a string. In this case, it was the water level, how much is left until it overflows. And you will remember, we had this number appear in the text of the title of the ticket. So we can transport data. These are not just events, these are events that carry a payload. We can transport that payload through all those clouds, hoppity-hop, and get them all the way in. And we can do the other thing, going back, the ticket conf, the 22, is the ID of the ticket. Now, it might not be useful to flash the lights. I can flash them 22 times, you can count it, you know the idea of your ticket. It gets impractical after a while. But again, the point is the same. We can move data back and forth through this system. And it's not hard. This device is programmed in C. This is the alarm, trigger, and detection code. It says if the number of overflow readings consecutive to guard against noise is more than 20, and it's more than 20 seconds since the last alarm, and we are not in an alarm, then we do a publish high water. And that high water thing is what you see down here. So we publish an event, and the clouds do the rest. And this is the only code I had to make. There's a little bit more code to flash the lights and detect the water level. That's not so interesting. This is the communication code. This is the integration code. That's all of it. Everything. To go from the device all the way to SuperOffice. And I own none of the servers, none of the systems involved. I don't run them. I don't have to worry about them. I only have to pay them. So this is the sustainable development, the sustainable customization. You spend time on your domain. You measure water level, pumps, response rates. Who knows? That kind of thing. Don't reinvent and don't ignore stuff like secure communications, flash updates, heartbeat, web integrations, SSL certifications, certificates, scaling, throttling, logging, performance measures, crash recovery. And if you fail on one of those, your device is not going to work. It's going to be hacked, it's going to crash, it's going to cause a world of pain. All of this has to be in place for IoT to actually fulfill its promise and not become a threat. And you put your custom logic where it's easily reachable and where it does not interfere with the system's evolution. Inside SuperOffice using CRM script. Maybe in an Azure function as part of an IoT pipeline. Azure is quite well set up to do that. Use the simplest possible means. Try to avoid private clouds and don't even think about private servers. Now, going into IoT means you go into real engineering. I call myself a software engineer. I can do that. There's no law against it. It's not a protected title. Anyone can do it. If you call yourself an electrical engineer, that means something different. You have an education, you have certifications, you are a member of a professional organization, you are subject to rules, code of ethics. IoT is much more than software. The flooded basement is not a matter of insurance solely. It's a place where kittens drown. Never forget that. And you can't restore a failed device from backup. It's hardware. If a flash fails, you need to climb down into the drain. Not funny when you have 10,000 of them. And don't just sit there if the cloud fails. This device can at least sound a siren, flash a light, try to turn on a backup pump without all the cloud functionality. It can do far more when it is connected to the cloud. But you need to be able to do something useful, because otherwise...
Our problems with the grid have persisted. One of these times it's going to go down and it won't come back up again.
I didn't come here to fix your ship.
And whenever that happens, everyone on this ship will asphyxiate in the dark, and that includes your crew. Well, all of us.
So, real engineering. I recommend this book. It's called Thinking Like an Engineer, written by a professor of ethics who studied engineering. Highly recommended. Go and make the world a better place. Thank you.
Thank you, Marek. As you can see, the technology is there. Integration points are there. This is minimal code, amazing automation, digitalization. So I think the only thing that matters here now is imagination. What can we use it for in CRM context? And there's a lot of stuff. All products which have IoT components produce status, and they produce how they are used. And this information, consider it was a machine producing a lot of information about how it's used, so it's time for service. You can analyze the big data, and you can give that to SuperOffice in a formatted way, so that SuperOffice can be used for interacting and communicating with the customers. We had a visitor, a customer the other day, and I was we were talking about the same thing, and this customer was producing office chairs, and it's like you always try to map these ideas to the customer's products, and I tried the best I could, and I said, if you have these sensors in the seat of the chair and in the back, you could probably tell how long you have been sitting, and if you're sitting in the right way or leaning somewhere, and then you can send messages. We already have that, she said. So they were producing chairs with that kind of sensors in the chair. So I'm not sure whether that information should go directly into SuperOffice as a ticket, but we could use this for something, I'm sure. Big data analytics and then communicating to customers is probably the most relevant scenario, I think. Okay, I'll continue with the sustainable customizations for 15 minutes. Try to put some words on the concept, and go to hear afterwards where this can be useful in our business. This is about SuperOffice partners and customers working together to create future-proof, cost-efficient solutions. I think that's a more easy way than sustainable customization. I found this Wikipedia definition, which I think is really good. It matches our aim of simplicity, and it's clear, and well, no. One of the guys came up with this one, thank God. Thank you, Sverre. Sustainability focuses on meeting the needs of the present without compromising the future. That's what it's all about. So, let's keep that in mind. I think it's four elements in this concept. First of all, it's about building future-proof custom solutions for our customers. They should be future-proof, and they should be cost-efficient. Secondly, to achieve that, you have to use the right tools to do it. It's like, you know, what they say, if the hammer is the only tool you have, everything looks like a nail. It's not efficient. It's not the right thing to do. So you have to know the tools, and you have to pick the right tool for the right job. And then we have to take this information about this customization, the problems of not being compliant with the future, out to our partners, to you, and agree on the concept, and then bring it to the market, to the customers, so that everybody starts thinking about this. How can we do this in the right way? Because here you will also find another one, simplification. That's our motto. You know that. And you have to find the balance between the cost of making the integration or the customization and the real benefit. It's a business case. So that's the four main elements of this concept, for me at least. There's more to it, but these are the four main elements. Why? Just take that very quick. Why do people, because you think that SuperOffice is a standard software, why do we really need customization? Don't we really hate customizations? No, we don't. The customers just have to have it. Because standard software is not always enough. And these are the reasons that the customers will customize, add on, make one-off, buy from the App Store, enrich SuperOffice with different functions and features. It's just the way it is. And it gives also SuperOffice the opportunity to focus on some parts where we can be best, and partners and consultants add the rest. That's the main concept. But we don't like it when it gets too much. That's true. Because we're not in our selling business. We are in the software license selling business, mainly. So, but there are good reasons for doing customizations, and it's a critical part of our business model. That said, what does history tell us? Because there's a certain reason for bringing this up now. There have been some experiences the last, well, let's say 5 years. History tells us, experience tells us that some customizations are pretty static and does not follow evolution. That means, and they also made too complex, too big, unnecessary investments. Maybe the customer was too eager, too ambitious. Things got a bit out of hand. One thing led to another, or I don't know, but sometimes they're just made too complex. And when that happens, they represent friction for moving, specifically in our case, to the web application. I know it also has to do with the APIs, availability and so stuff, but it's part of the picture. They also can, not always, not misunderstand me, they can represent friction for moving to the cloud. And quite often, I listen to customers saying that the cost of ownership of customizations are too big. They tend to forget, they look at the first bill, the initial development, but then they tend to forget everything that comes afterwards. And the customer is not willing to pay very much for maintenance, for the evolution, keep it alive. They pay it once, it should work, and then they leave it. Very bad. As Trump would say, very bad. And of course, software upgrades in the on-site environment. So I documented a couple of quotes that I had from customers. One of these. One customer, I think that was in Denmark, said, when we were discussing customizations and moving to the cloud, of course, always the topic these days. And the customer said, all customers want as much standard as possible. Of course they do. Whether it's a standard app or standard SuperOffice, the more standard, the better. It's not always enough, but this is what the customer said. As much standard as possible. Another customer said that they were in deep trouble in a way. They said that we were not really aware of what was going on when were they building the solution. We trusted the partner and SuperOffice and did not really engage ourselves in understanding the SuperOffice CRM capabilities, adapting to these capabilities, and avoiding the mess of integration we ended up in. Maybe we entrusted external parties too much. I didn't say that, the customer did, so I won't be a judge of that, but I see the challenge actually. If the customer doesn't really lean forward, they leave the decision, important decisions to third parties, it's never a good situation. So that's why it's a responsibility for the customer as well. But we have to bring these problems to the attention of the customer and have serious, good discussions of how we should do this in the future. This one is a tough one, actually. And the SuperOffice manager said this. It's a kind of a special story, but it proves how wrong it can go if you don't control this. The SuperOffice application has been customized to the extreme with a specialized tool. None of the customers that use this tool can receive new updates and face huge costs for re-engineering. This is our responsibility, meaning SuperOffice. This is the partner's responsibility, and it's of course also the customer's responsibility. And how could we let this happen? I will leave that unanswered for now. But as you can see, it might go wrong sometimes if you don't do the customizations in the right way. Okay, sad stories. But we can do something about this, can't we? I'm sure we already do. I think I will go through these 5 fundamentals of sustainable customizations as we see it. I'll come back to them one after one. Make informed decisions is the first one. Such a process of building something for a customer, and let's think of it as not only a custom one-off for a single customer, but also when you're making apps. You have to start here. You have to know the complete functionality of SuperOffice. both the standard functions and the way you can customize it. How can you know whether you need a customization if you don't know the product? Number one, know the product. And then, later you have to choose the right tool. And of course you have to know the capabilities of all the tools that we offer. If the only tool you know is the hammer, you know what happens. So you have to know and understand the capabilities, the characteristics of the tools we're offering. And then, last but not least, you have to understand what the customer is really asking, and sometimes even challenging that, what he's asking. So, and you have to agree on ambition, sustainability, the future, where they're going, how much effort should we put into that. And it's not our decision, but we have to discuss it with the customer. That's my point. We can't decide for the customer that we should invest a lot to make it compatible with the future. If he decides to do something simple for his corner of the world, fine. You just have to know what he's doing. Okay, done all this, you can make the right choice of the tool, or the tools. It's not only one tool, it's a different set of tools, depending on the task. And then you can build a solution. So that's what I mean about informed decisions. Bring it up, discuss it, have the right information, make good decisions. There's not one single bullet here that solves everything. You have to choose, you have to look at the task and look at what the customer wants and the different tools you can choose. And then decide where you're going. Today, I think we're quite often doing it like this. We're understanding, listening to the customers, and you're making a tool that you prefer, and then you build a solution. So, customized, sustainable customization is about all these things. Okay, there's one important thing. I think most of you know it, but just to put some words on it. And I'm using the words one-off, which is something you build for one single customer, and standard, which is you find in the App Store. This totally, maybe you're using the same tools, development tools, but for totally different purposes. One-off means a solution which is built for one single customer. The customers pay everything hour by the hour. Maintenance, initial operation, everything. The price tag is on the customer. It doesn't share that with anyone. The functionality and technical solution are aiming at the specific needs of this single customer. It's not generic, it's just solving this problem for this customer. And of course, I see this, if you do these things, which you quite frequently do, you should build it with cost-efficient, powerful, easy-to-use tools. Because then it's easy to change, easy to re-engineer. It's not very complex. And it's built for one customer, and he likes the low bill. My standard app means software that builds to serve many customers, built by an ISV. And the ISV is making the investment, and then he puts a price tag on it, and the customer buys it. It's a totally different story. It's the generic functions, technology is different, and you can do investments to meet the future in a different way, because the ISV is professional. The customer is not that professional of building solutions. The customer does not build solutions like this. And we see that from time to time when you have built something, you want to move on to make it into standard and making money to sell it to others. Not always a success. Very seldom a success. Because it should initially be built for a large audience. Then you can succeed. If you start with a single customer, make one off, it's hard to transform that into a standard product. No, it's not impossible, but you have to make the investment. And you will very often need powerful tools and the complex tools to build this kind of software, standard software. It's the same thing that we do actually. Different set of tools. Okay, there are also something about on-site and online, which you all know, and there are 3 recommendations I would give. 1, if you're thinking about building a new standard app, build it for the cloud. Simplify for yourself. And help us all moving the existing customers from their on-site installation and into the cloud. It's much simpler to build it only for the cloud. if you have to build, if that's not good enough, you have to build a new one-off on-site solution, then you should build it with the online compatibility structures. You offer that to the customer. You owe that to the customer. Because you know what happens if you don't, after a while. They're stuck in their own site when they want to move to the cloud and have to pay the whole thing again. Bad idea. And, as we said, the last years make existing on-site solutions online compatible now, and most of them are now. There's still a few left, but I think you've done a terrific job the last years of lifting your software into the cloud, making it compatible with online, and you saw the figures from Gisle. It's really growing, and in a few years, this is done. Nothing more to talk about. But we respect that it costs money and takes time. But nevertheless, we have been pushing you guys for some years. We've done a good job. Right tool for the right job. On the left side, there are different tools from different categories of people. Like this. Oops. You have the expert programmer, you have the consultant, and you have the administrator. Different tools. And on this axis, you have very cheap solutions, and you have costly solutions on the right side. The perfect customization tool is the configuration, the setup of the admin client. It's built into the product, it's totally free, and the administrator can use it. So if you can customize the solution by using the configuration capabilities of SuperOffice, the customer will just, yes. Agree? That's not what you are living from, most of you, I know. But it's a good situation if the customer has simple requirements. Start there. Secondly, you can go to the App Store. Standard, beautiful, robust, standard applications that somebody else takes care of. Make sure they work together with the CRM Online. Cost a little bit more, but the administrator can do it. Perfect tool for an administrator to customize their solution. Very sustainable. If you need more, you can use what we call the super macro, and it's going to grow. It's going to get much better in the coming years. But it's visual programming, it's very powerful, and it does a lot, like Zapier. And above that, you have the scripting. Now we're starting to program a little bit. CRM script, custom screens, extra tables, which soon will be available for the whole package of SuperOffice when we've done the merge and the zip. This is, how can I call it, inbound tools. Scripting and Super Macro does something primarily inside SuperOffice with the SuperOffice application, while Zapier, the integration platform, connects SuperOffice to other sources, to other systems. So we think it's a perfect match. While CRM scripts is working inside the SuperOffice domain, and Zapier is working outside the SuperOffice domain. And again, you can use these tools for a lot, I know that. You can tweak and use them for anything, if you like. These are the main purposes, as we see it, for these tools. Then you have the traditional external APIs. Now you need a programmer, maybe you need Visual Studio. You use REST, SOAP, webhooks, these things that many of us don't really know what is. But you can build really complex, feature-rich solutions by doing that. And the last one, not so frequently used, is what we call deep, like internal APIs. Really working with the source code of SuperOffice, changing the source code. There's a few of you here that can do this. And we're working with it. Maybe we could also offer that in the cloud. We have a special research project called Cirrus, which we will talk about tomorrow. Or is it today? Tomorrow? Yeah, Cirrus is the name. Where we're trying to do the same in the cloud. These tools are what we call in-product. And why? That's because they are built into the product. They follow the product. There are no operation, there are no separate clouds. They're beautiful for the cloud. The source code is stored inside the database, executed by a SuperOffice application. It's very convenient for the customer using these tools. But it's mainly used for one-off, mainly. This one is third-party platforms. It's a different cloud. The application that you integrate is running in a different place, but there are professionals running these clouds. And there's, you have the remote. You have to build your own cloud integrated with SuperOffice to have applications using the APIs run towards SuperOffice. And of course you see that using the external APIs, making SuperOffice App Store, then it's a mixed setup. I always have one of these not so beautiful slides. This is a bit crowded, but I'll try. At the bottom here you have the toolbox that SuperOffice offers. And the gray boxes are what we call in-product tools. And the red one is the external APIs. So it looks like this. If you build in-product customizations, you use these tools to build something that resides inside the database of the customer and is executed by SuperOffice. You don't need programmers. It has a high scalability, meaning many people can do this. It has a built-in upgrade because SuperOffice does it. You don't have to care for that. It's built-in security. It's part of the SuperOffice concept. It's a single-site, simple operation. It's our responsibility. It has a low cost in a simple environment. It's recommended for one-off solutions. On this side, normally you build standard applications and you build it if you're a professional. Using the APIs, you build the application, you deploy it to your own cloud, and through the App Store you integrate it to SuperOffice. But this you need expert programmers. It has a low scalability because there's a few programmers that can do it. You have to do this upgrades separately. You have to add on your own security. It's a multi-site operations. There are several clouds that have to be operated to make this work. It's a shared responsibility because you involve a partner and customer and SuperOffice. It has a higher cost and it's a more complex environment. But you pay more. Nothing wrong, but you should be aware of what it is. So, in short, in product, remote, third-party platform have different capabilities. Choose them for the right occasion. So, I also think that sustainability is about, oh, now I get so emotional. The power of love. Yeah. Oh. Low effort, low cost, low maintenance, low downtime, low complexity, low failure rate, low risk for not being future-proof. Thank you. Yeah, Tony?
Right here.
Did you get any questions?
We do have some questions, so let's go ahead and take a seat up on stage. Is this still with us? It's just to sit down, relax, get a little inquisitive.
Depends on the question.
That's true. Promise nobody's going to hurt you. But we did receive a couple interesting questions.
Tom wants to join us. I can see that.
We do have a couple questions regarding our online platform. The first one comes in asking, for all of the apps that were shown in the App Store, are these available for all markets, including Norway?
Lead Explorer is on its way. will be available everywhere. Datev is of course a very German-related app, so meaning not that relevant outside Germany. HOBot is of course also currently stronger in the German-speaking region. Userlane is universal, so it can be used anywhere.
Okay. Related question for the online platform: is there any is there going to be any A/B testing in the online platform to determine what change causes a feature to be used more?
That's a good question. We will try to build that in because it's part of the measure usability project that we're aiming at.
Next question. With the unified sales and service, does that eliminate having two browser tabs open? All is now in one UI. If yes, could you use two tabs?
I think I know where they're asking because they are dedicated service personnel that likes to have a specialized client. It's too early to say how that's going to be, but we'll take that into account. I see the need.
We have a question concerning web tools. The question is, will there be any changes or improvements to web tools? Currently, it's cumbersome to install in large organizations or Citrix environments with lots of updates.
We're constantly trying to improve it. Having locally installed software is something all cloud vendors, I would say, hate. It's very cumbersome. If you're able to centralize it running in one cloud, things are so much easier. But they're not giving up because there's so many customers using it, both in documents and towards the office. So yes, we will continue improving it and solving the problems that are there.
I took the liberty of asking one of our developers that specific question prior to coming up here, and the response from his was that Eric Ida is, of course, looking into how we can enable automatic updates without any user interaction whatsoever.
Yeah.
So that is being researched, and we're looking into ways to facilitate it.
But there is no Citrix in the cloud, Tony.
No, that's beyond my
Okay.
level.
That's just a short comment from me.
The customers running Citrix as their platform using this stuff.
Okay.
Maybe it will change in the future.
That's all the questions that we've received so far, so I want to thank Gutham and Gisela coming up here for putting themselves up for these types of inquisitions. So
You have no other questions, guys?
One more? Okay. Okay.
Come on, guys.
There should be one more question. If you could just ask it out loud, I could repeat it. It's not showing up.
Okay.
What's the question?
Yeah.
What's the question? I'll repeat it.
About release strategies on the on-premise
Release schedules for on-premise customers.
software. We are struggling a little bit about getting the software together with the releases. So we need to update our modules, check our modules. So we wanted a little bit, maybe a week before we put it on DevNet, but a week as far as you can get the version.
So because SuperOffice is releasing on-site versions in such a frequent interval, then you want the ability as a partner to gain access to those bits earlier so that you can verify that your modules work with SuperOffice.
Yeah, a week will be really appreciated.
A week.
Yeah, we'll start clapping for the questions and not the answers, I think. That's good.
Now we have,
We know the challenges, and I don't have an exact answer, but you can discuss it with Erik. He's there. He discussed it on the meeting we had with the product managers at SuperOffice yesterday. So we're trying to improve that. But it's, you know, the frequency that we produce releases now every third week is hardly going to change. So how are we going to mix these things together? It's a challenge, but we're working on it.
I will be addressing how you can specifically do that in my talk when I talk about the APIs later this afternoon. With that, we're going to go ahead and break for lunch, and then we will go ahead and get started back here at 1:30.